voice from the ground. How many more hours will it be, in your view, before we know whether or not Joe Biden will be the next president of the United States? And this Trump tweet where he's asking once again, like he did on counting night, for counting to be stopped. What does that mean? And he's got 4 cases out in 4 separate states. How long will this go on for, Caroline?
Well, hello from Wilmington, Delaware, where it is morning here. This is where Joe Biden lives, and we expect to see him at some point today. But here we are, as you mentioned, more than 30 hours since the polls closed in this country, and we still don't know who the next president will be. As you mentioned, Joe Biden is narrowing the electoral vote lead over current President Donald Trump, but we are still holding out calling this election until Joe Biden gets to that 270 mark. He needs 270 electoral votes before that can be said and before he can officially be named the president. But with President Trump tweeting today, "Stop the vote," in all capital letters, he wants all the voting, stop the count rather. He wants all the counting to stop because the polling places are still counting the ballots that came in on election day, and he wants that to stop. He says that this has not been fair to his overseers, his observers who are there at the polling places. Meantime, we have protesters outside those polling places to say if they're fair or not, to support their candidate or not. So what we have in play now is we're looking at 3 major states, Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia. We're looking to see which candidate will get all those electoral votes from those states. But already, you know, we had a huge turnout in this country, right? So already Joe Biden has received the most votes of any other presidential election in the history of this country. One of the reasons for that is because of the enormous turnout that we had this year for the presidential election. Now, consider this, though. It's expected that after all the votes are counted, President Trump will have received the most votes of any other candidate in this country, too. So that just shows you the millions, the hundreds of millions of Americans that did vote in this election and the interest in this country. Also, the president has said that he has filed suit against, his campaign has, against Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Michigan, and they're asking for a recount in Wisconsin. Now, that's well within their rights, because as long as the margin is less than 1% in Wisconsin, the challenger can call for a recount. They will pay for it, and then if that overturns the election, they get a refund of their money. So that's basically what's happening here in the United States, as we all just wait for those numbers to rise for both men.
Thank you very much, Caroline Presutti, for joining us. Christine Fay, you've got 2 scenarios playing themselves out. One, that by the end of the night, it's highly likely that Joe Biden will cross the 270 figure. On the other side, you've got now 4 cases in 4 different states, Donald Trump challenging, maybe even seeking a recount. How long do you think this will go on for, and will this lead to an orderly transfer of power from Donald Trump to Joe Biden?
So I'm a cynic. I do not anticipate that this is going to be resolved. This is going to go on, I think, for quite some time. President Trump has begun from the time he took office delegitimizing our electoral process. He even said that his own election that he won was fraudulent, right? So his strategy from the beginning has been to cast doubt on any election that does not return him as the winner. I don't think he has exhausted his legal strategies. He's been very clear that he's going to go after the mail-in ballots. So I think that there will still be other legal strategies that he'll pursue. And political scientists are very fearful that even if he should finally lose this election, that he may not leave office. A term which has been derived from Latin America, autogolpe, is being bandied about for the first time in American history, that we may not, in fact, have a peaceful transfer of power. The other thing that I'm sure you're observing is that many of the electoral tactics that I have observed in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and which you have observed in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, are playing out here. We have armed militias. People are showing up with AR-15s And they have promised that they will turn out and engage in violence if Donald Trump is not returned the winner.
You know, with a lot of respect, and Christine Fair, I have a lot of time for what you write, but the reality is we just had a big election in Bihar and it's been very peaceful. Gun sales didn't skyrocket, ammunition sales didn't skyrocket, and no, there's no threat of violence either.